Welcome to the Brad Jurkovich podcast. Really excited today to have as our guest my friend, Coach Mike McConathy, longtime coach at Northwestern, but also Bossier Parish Community College men's basketball. Incredible career, Coach. I'm so glad you could be with us today.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to visit with you today.
Well, I've known you now for over the years. You know, I moved to Bossier several years ago, pastoring at First Bossier. Your family's got great history here at this church, but it's great to have you on this podcast because I've just been curious over the years just to talk basketball and life and the lessons you've learned over the years, what you've wanted to instill in players. But Coach, what about growing up a little bit? Let's just kind of talk a little bit about your background. You grew up in Bossier City?
Bossier City. I grew up on Lincoln Drive, which is right across East Texas Street from the church. Saw this church being built.
Wow.
We went downtown on East Texas Street, and then it moved out here in the mid 60s. And so I can remember coming across that highway quite a few times to get to church.
That's amazing. And we're talking about First Baptist Church in Bossier City, Louisiana. And so I've been able to pastor here for several years now and getting to know your family. But you grew up in Bossier City, and was basketball always a part of your life growing up?
Yes, it was. My dad was a basketball coach.
Yeah.
And won a state championship at Bossier High School back in 1960. As a young person growing up, a child, whatever, loved all sports, liked to play football. We played on the corner of the Madden house on the corner of Lincoln and James, and we'd have a big tackle game there.
Wow.
Just a lot of fun. When I go back and look at that yard, it's not nearly as big as it was when I was 8 or 9 or 10
when
years
you're growing
old.
up, yeah.
But it was good, and then played baseball at Walbrook Park.
Okay.
And a guy named Tommy Henry that actually was a member of this church, and Mildred Ann, his wife, he was my baseball coach, and spent a lot of hours over playing baseball. I actually played baseball every summer, but I never played on the school team because I was scared that it was going to prevent me from being able to do well in basketball.
Yeah.
And so just grew up, not a very big kid when I was growing up. High school, I was 5'3".
Yeah.
And started off, my dad was 6'5", was the first player taken by the Syracuse Nationals in the first round of the NBA draft, the 5th overall pick. Now, he'd have had some serious money today, wouldn't he?
Well, yeah. So in the first NBA draft, he was
actually when he was in the first round.
Yeah.
I think it was a second or third round.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
That's
for a
some
kid
cool history.
That
right
was
there.
6'1", 155. Played at Bryceland High School.
Yeah.
There was 5 guys in his senior class. He finished 5th. He said in his class rank.
Yeah.
Grew from 6'1" to 6'5". He walked on at Northwestern, played 2 years there, 4 years there, but the first 2 years he didn't hardly play, and then he ended up playing a lot his second 2 years, and ended up being drafted, played a portion of the year because he was called up for the Korean conflict. Wow. There was no draft deferments then, and the MPs showed up at the house, and my grandmother got a hold of him and said, "You need to come home.
Wow.
The MPs are looking for you."
Wow.
So he loaded up and came back south
to
Louisiana after being there in Syracuse, New York.
So you had, and we'll talk about your dad a little bit later too. We'll weave him into the story, I'm sure, today. He's incredible. You grew up playing basketball and baseball.
Right.
But you had the chance to play in college basketball or
Actually,
both? Or?
I didn't play any baseball after it's the summer of my senior year.
Yeah.
But I played at Louisiana Tech. I was drafted. I visited LSU, visited Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Centenary with Robert Parish, who was a legendary player.
Amazing.
Centenary visited over there. Monroe, and then Northwestern State, where my dad and his other 2 brothers had played. And ended up at Louisiana Tech. A guy named Scotty Robertson was the coach there. Had originally coached at Byrd. Friend of my family. My dad coaching at Bossier, him coaching at Byrd.
Yeah.
They were pretty good rivals, and Scotty had played at Tech. And so I ended up going to Louisiana Tech, and it was a very enjoyable time. Growing pains because we were moving from NAIA to Division I. Therefore, as a player, I got to do what I got to do as a coach, go play in large venues for large checks to be paid to the university.
There you go.
So it was interesting.
So, okay, but did you want to play in the NBA?
Well, I was drafted by the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that was 1977. At that time, there were several rounds in the NBA draft. I was the fourth pick, which meant I was about the 70-something pick in the draft. But the interesting thing that happened in my draft year was that the ABA and the NBA merged.
Okay. Yeah.
And so when they merged, they moved 4 teams, added 4 teams to the NBA, which was 20 teams now.
Mm-hmm.
But they cut the rosters from 13 to 11. So there was only 220 NBA players
Interesting.
at that time.
Yeah.
And so 6'3" guards were a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
I needed to be a little bit larger, but it was a great experience. And I went overseas and played. Actually toured there in 5 different countries, for 3 months, playing in a different place every night. Played with some guy named Johnny Newman that had been followed Pete Maravich.
Wow.
He was at Ole Miss, and he was $1 million baby is what they called him, because he signed for a huge contract with the ABA team after his first year.
Yeah.
And so played that, didn't make it, went overseas, came back, signed with what was the Buffalo Braves.
Okay.
That were in Buffalo.
Okay.
But after I signed my contract, they were sold and the team moved to San Diego.
Interesting.
And the coaching staff that was at San Diego got let go, invited not to return.
Yeah.
And they went out there, so the whole coaching staff was nobody there. I was one of 44 rookies and free agents in camp. It ended pretty quick, and I decided I needed to come home and continue to have aspirations to play. Willis Reed was working with the New York Knicks, and he thought he was going to get the Cleveland Cavalier job, and Willis played at Grambling. Okay. Was a Hall of Famer. Wow. New York Knicks 1969 championship team. Wow. He played with a bad hip in the game. Wow. Phenomenal story there. Well, I knew his high school coach and his dad. My dad knew his high school coach. Coach Stone was coaching and teaching at Halton. Okay. And so I had talked to Willis Reed a good bit, and then he ended up not getting the Cleveland job. Okay. And so from that point, I just went on to coaching.
Okay, but even before we go into coaching, I'm just curious. You were drafted in the NBA in the late 70s. Mm-hmm. Did you go one-on-one with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
No, I didn't get to.
I think you could have taken him, man.
No, but Artis Gilmore was on our team, and Artis Gilmore was
That's awesome.
He was at Jacksonville. He was 7'2", and he had a 32-inch waist.
Oh my God!
He was this massive man. And one day in practice, they said, "Artis is upset. Do not go in the lane." Well, I didn't know what they were talking about. So I go up in the lane, leave, and I'm going to shoot a floater. They even shot floaters back then. And I'm cat mousing around trying to get my shot off. And all of a sudden, 2 hands grab me around my waist and stop me. Yeah. And move me over and set me down.
That is awesome, man.
And then I understood why you were not supposed to go in the lane, because Artis was mad.
That's crazy. I grew up in Southern California, a Boston Celtics fan in the 80s when the Lakers were absolutely rolling too, which was a lot of fun. But they called me. I was this good, Coach, back in the day. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I was that good. So anyway, I didn't have a skyhook. But anyway, I just think it's cool, man. I love your stories. I love your trajectory with all of that. And you had aspirations. But it really is amazing how God has used you as a coach. And so your first job, was that with Bossier Parish?
My first job was actually the airline girls' job.
Oh, really? At airline high school?
I had been cut by the San Diego Clippers that are now the LA Clippers. Wow. Okay. Yeah. And I came home and I took a temporary job with the State Department for a year. Okay. The next year I was trying to go with the Cleveland deal. That didn't work out. And so the airline girls' job was open. And Mr. Earl Haynes, my dear friend Steve Haynes' dad, and Kay Haynes, we all went to church together, First Baptist, and he had a girls' job open, and I went and took that job, and we won 3 games. They had won 3 games the year before. We won 7. I thought we'd won the national championship.
Yeah, absolutely. So that, again, just growing, developing, but then your college coach opportunity? Was that
Well,
Bossier?
actually, I went to Bossier High School for 3 years.
Okay.
And then from Bossier High School, my 4th year there,
Yeah.
actually, I believe that's correct. It'd be in 82, 83.
Yeah.
And I coached the Bossier High School team, and I started the Bossier Parish Community College team and coached both teams that year while teaching at Bossier High School.
Wow.
And I just saw one of my former players earlier today.
Yeah.
And it was a great opportunity for young men in this area to get to go to continue to play, because there was no real junior college programs in Louisiana playing. Delgado and New Orleans played.
Okay.
We were the only other one playing. And we played 12 games that year in a club sport year. Picked up a lot of kids from this area, Mike Whitler, Tim Toby, Mark Roberts. That's just some example of some of the guys that were in this area. They'd played at Trinity Heights, those young people, Willie Bryant and Tim Wooten from Airline High School.
Wow.
So we had some good guys. And next year, David Dempsey from Parkway High School came on, Bob Barnacle.
So these are guys you were coaching at
Bossier
Parish.
Correct.
Wow. So it really was meeting a need for a lot of those guys.
It was meeting a tremendous need, and I'll give you an example. We just lost a young man named Todd Bodden. He was working at Skyline Trailer Manufacturing Company, and he had graduated from Airline High School, and he was working, and I'd drive by his house. He's 6'7". I'd drive by his house nearly every day. And when we started this program, I went over to him. I said, Todd, would you like to go back to school and get your education, and then play basketball? Yeah, Coach, I'd like to do that. So Todd became a Bipsy Cavalier.
Okay.
Todd graduated, went on to a university in South Texas, taught and coached for 30 years.
Wow.
23 of it and a half of it was in Texas, I believe.
Wow.
He passed away in a car wreck last spring. But I think about the impact as I sat in that graveside service, the impact he had. And if it wouldn't have been for Bipsy, he was a math teacher, he probably would have he might not have ever gotten to do what he did.
Amazing.
But that provided an opportunity for him to get an education, to play a game he enjoyed, to coach, to teach. Ended up, like I said, in Texas there.
That's amazing.
So it was really a special situation.
Were you just contacted by Northwestern at some point and said, all right, Mike, we want you here, buddy?
Well, it never worked that way. I interviewed 6 times.
Okay.
Our program had really developed into a really strong program. We made to the National Junior College Championships in Hutchinson, Kansas on 2 different occasions.
Wow.
The last 2 years I was here probably were our best teams. We were ranked in the top 4 in the country the last couple of years. The last team I had, we had 9 kids sign college scholarships.
Wow.
We looked like a Division I team is what we looked like. And I had interviewed 6 different times for different jobs over periods, and I was turned down. And ended up getting the job at Northwestern. Actually took one of my players, Chris Thompson, that was here, went to Airline High School, and then ended up going with me to Northwestern. Just a great thing. Has done a really good job. He did a great job for us in both Bipsy and Northwestern. But we had a lot of fun with it, and we saw a lot of kids be able to go on and get an education, but we also saw them fulfill a dream of getting to play college basketball.
Amazing. Northwestern, you were there, how long were you there totally?
23 years.
That's incredible. I mean, really.
Well, at the time when I wasn't coaching anymore, I think there was only 20 people. They may have been dropped down to maybe 15 or 16 guys that had been in coaching as long as I had been coaching.
That's what I'm saying.
And now there's hardly anybody. John Calipari's been in coaching for a long, but let me back up. At the same school.
Right, I was going to say,
At the same school, he moved around according to the checks. When I got a job, I was just glad to have a job.
There you go.
And I was going to plan on staying there.
So they're a long time, but you had some great success there, man. I mean, you got great players, great program. You built something awesome. You went to the championship or the tournament, right?
Yeah,
NCAA
we had a nice run. In fact, when I got there, they had 5 winning seasons in the previous 24 or 25 years.
Wow.
And I made the statement because when my dad and his brothers played there,
Okay.
they were really, really good
Yeah.
at Northwestern.
Yeah.
And I made the statement in the press conference. I said, I plan on bringing this program back to the glory days of when my dad and uncles played here.
Wow.
And the people kind of looked at me and thought, hey, this dude's lost his mind.
Yeah.
I mean, you could shoot a shotgun in Prather Coliseum and it wouldn't hit anybody because there was nobody there. So the first year there, we're playing. One of my assistants was Buzz Williams. The other one was Dave Simmons. Dave Simmons played Louisiana Tech. Buzz Williams is now the head coach at Maryland University, was at Texas A&M for several years past. And so that was my staff, and we kept every player in the program. If they got their grades and they did what they were supposed to do, they didn't get in trouble, whatever. We had every guy in our program stayed. That year we're playing, and we end up going on about a 6-game run at the end of the year.
Wow.
And we get to the tournament. We go over to play UTA. In the first round, you visited the higher seeds place. We win, come home. Then we get to play in the Gold Dome at that time on Centenary's campus, playing the semifinal game. One of my players couldn't be there that weekend because of a family situation. Brent Shropshire, one of our little guards, had a career game, and we beat Sam Houston University, who we were not supposed to beat. And then the next day we're playing in the championship game, the first year now, to go to the NCAA tournament. We ended up losing that game to Lamar University.
Wow.
And then the next year we come back with basically the same team, except we had 2 guys sitting out that were red shirts. And they had transferred in the year before. One was Michael Dawson, and Chris Lynch transferred in. But all those guys, Josh Hancock, Alan Pope, Gerald McRae, Ryan DePlessis, Chris Thompson, Will Burks, all those guys that had been there the year before in that situation where he got beat, they were there. So we go on the road to Nichols, and we beat a Nichols team we're not supposed to beat.
Wow.
And then we go and we play UTSA. They had moved to CenturyTel. What was it? What is it now? Brookshire's Arena?
Yeah, Brookshire's Arena.
They moved to Brookshire's Arena, and we won that game. And then the next day we played McNeese.
Oh.
McNeese was 15-1 in the league.
Wow.
And on the Saturday before the tournament started, they beat us. And they got up there and they cut the nets down. And I made my players come out and sit down and watch them cut the nets down. Because I always felt like that you never cut the nets down until it's over.
Interesting.
And they sat there and watched them cut the nets down. And the next Saturday, we were the Southland Conference champions, cutting the nets down ourselves. So that was pretty big deal. We go on from there to the NCAA tournament. And it's really kind of an interesting situation because the NCAA tournament, we were the play-in game, the first play-in game. And it was of all of them. Dayton, Ohio. We're playing Winthrop. And Winthrop had a Greg Marshall, who coached for years, ended up having some great success. He was the coach there. And so we go up and we find out we're going to go to there at 11 o'clock on Sunday night. We're exactly working out the arrangements. We have to leave at 3:30 the next morning.
Oh, goodness.
It's just a torrential storm going on. Tornadoes hit. It was just terrible. Our GA, who was a missionary to Kenya, he become assistant coach. He pulls up in his car, puts it neutral, puts it in first gear, jumps out. It's raining so hard, forgets to put it in gear, and his car drives off.
Oh, gosh.
And it stayed there in the ditch for a week.
Across
we ain't getting softball.
We're letting it go,
So we end up going the next day, catching a flight, leaving 3:30, going to the airport in Dallas, I think is where we flew out of first, to go to Dayton, get there at 6 o'clock, practice. Then the next day we play our game. And we end up winning that game on a Tuesday of the week to advance to play the number 1 seed, which was Illinois. And boy, they were really, really good.
Yeah, they were good.
That was not a very good Friday afternoon, to say the least. But it was a great opportunity that not everybody gets to.
That's
and
right.
people said, well, the league commissioners were upset. Well, we needed McNeese to win. It would have helped our league. We would have got a better seed. And I said, well, we shouldn't have had a tournament if you didn't want somebody else to win.
Yeah.
And so we ended up winning that game. So we won a game in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Now, at that time, they didn't pay a share of that to the conference. But then when we went back in 2005-06, we had been beaten the year before again in the championship game at our home place by a guy named Billy Kennedy's Southeastern team who we shared the title with. We'd beaten them in our only season matchup, and they beat us at our place in the worst basketball game I've ever participated in. The score was 48-42 or 44. It was horrible because we pressed and run, and he was a very controlled. We could not get anything going offensively because we just didn't score the ball well, and they did a great job on defense, but we didn't score well. So they end up beating us, go to Oklahoma. They play Oklahoma State that year. So the next year we're playing again, and we beat Sam Houston in the championship game there, and we end up with a 14 seed. That team that in 2-5, 2-6 beat Mississippi State on the road, Oklahoma State on the road, beat Oregon State in a neutral site. And in Mississippi State, we were down 21 at halftime and beat them in overtime. And this is hard to believe this has happened in today. Because back when they kept score on a chalkboard at Curry Elementary, they would keep the score on chalkboard.
Back in the day.
Yeah. We're playing in that Rainbow Classic, and we're playing Iowa State. And Iowa State, second half, they're ranked in the top 20 in the country. The ball hits the front of the rim and drops down. They give them a point. I go up to the table. I said, the ball did not go in. We're going to take care of it. We're going to take care of it. So they get a free throw, and it's on the board. I mean, I'm trying not to lose it.
Right, yeah.
They never changed it. We get beat in overtime by Iowa State.
Interesting.
So that would have been another top 20, not big name team that we would have beat. But there's no coincidence in life.
Yeah.
I believe God has a plan totally in everything that we do. If we would have beaten Iowa State, we would not have played Iowa in the NCAA tournament because we would have been a higher seed.
Okay.
We may have been a 12,
and
we wouldn't have got Iowa. Well, the matchup for Iowa was the perfect matchup for us because they didn't have great speed, had great guards, but not great guards.
Yeah.
And the other thing about my teams that was different, we played 11 and 12 guys. I'm rotating 5 guys every 4 minutes. People said it looked like a hockey match, running people, rolling them in there.
Right.
And the reason we did that was because the MVP of our team was the team. There wasn't one person that we ever wanted to stand out because we had to win it with numbers because my 11 or 12 needed to be better than their 7 combined.
Wow.
Whereas if we tried to play our top 5, we couldn't have competed at the highest level.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty interesting concept. And, people have said, well, you wouldn't have played for yourself as a player. And, probably wouldn't have enjoyed as much, but I sure did enjoy winning games in the NCAA tournament because that's something that just doesn't happen every day.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you just have this incredible career, Coach. I mean, it really is amazing how all those ups and downs, and you would, play in this championship to get in, and then you lose the one, and all those kind of things. I think the endurance of what you've demonstrated over that career is amazing. I'm curious, were there some key things as a coach that you said, I want my players, yes, to be the best in basketball, but I really want them to know 2 or 3 key things about life? Or you mentioned your faith is very important to you. I'm just curious, were there 2 or 3 things, or were there some principles that you said,
I think
I want my team to know this?
Well, basic principles, I had 2 basic rules.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll never ask you to do something I wouldn't do myself.
Okay.
Now, that did haunt me at some stages
bit,
in my life. Yeah. And then I always would speak to them in a manner of which I want to be spoken to first.
Good. Yeah.
And that. But we always, tenets of my faith, I tried to use throughout my coaching. We'd go in and do home visits. Unashamedly, I was always tell the family I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
And we're gonna pray every day at the end of practice. We're gonna do these things, and if that's a problem for you, then you don't need to come here.
Right.
we never lost anybody for
Isn't
that.
that something? Yeah.
And so, but I think of being bold enough to say that who you are, and one, to tell them that
Yeah.
was welcomed by the parents. And everybody really wants to know what's out there,
Yeah.
what's expected.
Yep.
Just having played, I think that Tommy Joe Eagles was a really good high school and college coach. He ended up coaching at Auburn, at Louisiana Tech, but he was my Butch Smart and him were my supervising teachers, and when I was at Louisiana Tech getting my degree, and he said, Mike, great players don't make great coaches.
Interesting.
Because it comes, most of the time, great players, things come easy. And I was not a guy that playing the game, even though I had athletic ability, it took me a long time for it to come around to be there.
Yeah.
Because I was so late developing in life, because I was a lot better college player than I was a high school player.
Wow.
And so I think that aspect of understanding hard work. And then also I think too, players seeing that you're willing to do whatever that you, now I wasn't running with them or anything, but seeing that you have been where they're at, and you being able to identify with what they're trying to do and being honest with them, I think that made a lot of difference in ability. There's guys that I coach that, that probably, aren't real fond of me still even today, but it was never a thing. It was not about a personal thing. It was about explaining to them why or whatever, but being willing to open and talk to them about that.
I think that's important with coaching. You see that impact, and that it's just incredibly important. There's some changes in the game, and maybe in the game or in the system. Can you just speak to some of that for a little bit? People talk about NIL. So are there some things where you go, I'd love to see this happen, or we need a course correction here? I mean, you're still representing Northwestern. You're still involved. I'm just kind of curious some of your thoughts.
I'm involved on the academic side.
Right.
But
yeah.
I do have my opinion, and I don't think there's a problem. One, I don't know how that we, as many intelligent people in the world, could allow what happened to happen with no parameters.
Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people. Yeah.
I mean, because it's like we just threw it out there.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense. And the loser in this whole thing are high school athletes.
Okay.
Because high school athletes aren't even being recruited. We have a young man, Daquan Lewis, that's at Bossier Parish Community College. I saw him play last year. Not one college coach came in his high school gym. The game I saw him play, he had 32 points and 19 rebounds.
Wow.
A great talent.
Yeah.
No one recruited him because they're not recruiting high school kids. Because, be realistic, would you take a 21-year-old or an 18-year-old?
Right.
So they go in the portal, they try to find those older players, may not have great numbers, but they're there. On the NIL thing, I wouldn't have a problem, but they didn't pay me anything to play.
Right.
Okay, so when you say to a former player, well, are you going to be able to help us raise some NIL money? My attitude is I played because I love the game.
Right.
And I don't think most players look at it that way. I'm not going to get into the deal of supplying resources to someone when I played because I loved it.
Yeah.
The sad part about that is that there's no parameters again of what someone can make and this, that, and the other. And so it's just off the rails, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have had a problem with them if they paid a certain amount of money and they were paid a certain amount of money, that they had tiers.
Yep.
But you and I, when we go to work, we get paid. But do you have to pay for your house? Or do you pay for your groceries?
Right.
Or whatever. Well, a player that's making all this money is getting his free housing. Yeah. He's getting free medical care. He's getting food. He's got a meal ticket and all these different things.
Right.
What are we teaching them? Because the next job they get, they're going to have to pay for all those things.
That's a good point.
So there's just not any, there was no, it wasn't a plan. It was just ill-conceived,
Yeah.
is what I've come to the conclusion. I
Yeah.
just really understand that.
I've talked to some other people. They are lamenting those things, and I think they're saying we've got to make some course corrections.
And I don't know how you put the
Right, the genie back in the bottle.
I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, it's a great point.
And because of the NCAA was so tired of lawsuits because they were losing every lawsuit.
Wow.
But there's got to be some course corrections.
Yeah.
But the other thing, this is the other thing, and we had 3 of my players went in the In-Club Hall of Fame 2 weeks ago, and Jermaine Wallace, who hit the shot, made a great statement. Okay, all those kids came in. There was 11 freshmen on that team, and they won 6 games. My dad said, "Son, that's good. That's one more than 5." And then we did a little better. Then we win the conference championship, get beat in the championship game, and then we win it again and end up there. But he makes the shot in the game. And they asked him about that shot in the interview, and he made one of the wisest statements I've ever heard. He said, they said, could you take us through the frame by frame about the shot? He said, well, I could probably do that. I said, but what we really need to talk about is the comeback from 7 minutes out and we're 17 points down, because if that comeback doesn't take place, I can't get the rebound, dribble out to make the shot.
Wow.
And I thought that was remarkable. And when you really think about that in life, the life perspective, the things along the way that get us to the point that we are, we sometimes don't place enough emphasis on those. Somebody that's have a huge impact in our faith.
Yeah.
Who taught us?
Yeah.
Who showed us? Our parents that guided us. Do we really give them the credence they deserve along the way? And probably not.
Such a good point. Well, I want to tell you, just to come full circle, when you were talking about your dad early on, incredible history that he was a part of it as part of those first couple years of the NBA and everything else. But when I came to be the pastor at First Baptist Bossier, you're the new guy. They tell you don't make any changes, and we wanted to do some outreach for kids using sports, and we wanted to build this sports complex with 3 football fields and do flag football and soccer and reach kids. And I knew, Coach, that the one guy I needed to visit with about this vision as the new guy was your dad, Big John McConathy. And I remember having this meeting. He walked into my office. He's an intimidating guy. I mean, he's just a presence in his presence, and kind of soft-spoken, or not soft-spoken, but like
reserved.
Reserved, yeah. And so I didn't know him really well, but I also knew, okay, Brad, you need to share this vision with him. And I said, sir, this is, it's an investment. It's a multi-million-dollar deal, but I think God could really use it to reach a lot of kids and families. And he just looked at me and he just said, Pastor, if you don't reach these kids, you're not going to reach the next generation and you're not going to have a church. So get after it. And he walked out. That was it. And I thought, okay, that's all I needed. And so I just want you to know that your family has meant so much to me, and just to hear your story and your journey and just some of these highlights, it's been awesome, man. I thank you for your faith and tenacity and your example. You've influenced so many players and families. Thank you for what you've done and what you're doing, Coach.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, been a joy to have you here today. God bless you. Hey, thank you for joining us today on the podcast. We'll catch you next week. Praying you have an awesome week of the Word.